The Kuiper Belt was a lonely place, a frozen wilderness at the edge of humanity's reach. Small, icy asteroids drifted silently through the darkness, carrying secrets older than human memory. Most of the scientific community ignored it, calling it a cold graveyard of rocks and ice. But for Dr. Elena Rivas, it was the perfect place to hunt for mysteries. Elena, a cosmic archaeologist, had spent her life searching for evidence that civilizations beyond Earth had existed long before humans ever dreamed of reaching the stars. She wasn't a soldier or an engineer. She didn't care about weapons or power. She cared about discovery, knowledge, and history. Her small team floated around the icy asteroid, their suits glowing softly in the black void. They were only a handful of people, far from the prying eyes of Earth's space agencies. The hum of their ship's engines was the only sound in the void. Elena's scanner had been sweeping the asteroid's surface for weeks, looking for anomalies. Most of the time it was boring. Rocks, ice, craters, repetition day after day. But that day something changed. "Doctor, you might want to see this," said Kaido, the ship's engineer, his voice crackling through the comms. Elena moved closer to the scanner console. The display flickered, then stabilized. On the screen was a shape buried beneath layers of ice, dense asteroid rock and dust. It was not natural, angular, smooth, and impossibly large. Her heart raced. "How old could it be?" she whispered. Kaido shook his head. "I don't know. Whatever it is, it's been here a long time. I've never seen readings like this." Elena crouched over the scanner, zooming in. The shape was faintly metallic, and faint lines traced across its surface. It was massive, larger than any human ship. The ice surrounding it seemed ancient. Using carbon dating techniques on surrounding ice and dust, Elena calculated a rough estimate: 3,789 years old. Her breath caught. 3,789 years. Humanity hadn't even left the solar system at that time. Whoever, or whatever, built this, they were far ahead of anything humans had ever imagined. The team prepared the excavation. It took hours of careful work, using remote arms and melting probes to reach the surface without damaging it. As the ice melted away, the ship beneath began to shine faintly, as though it had been waiting for someone to find it. Its hull shimmered with a strange metallic color, almost organic in its curves. It wasn't like human engineering. There were no visible engines, no thrusters. The surface seemed smooth, yet somehow alive. Strange markings etched into the hull hinted at an intelligence beyond human comprehension. Symbols glowed faintly as they were exposed to light, pulsing softly in rhythm with an unknown heartbeat. Elena felt a shiver run down her spine. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Her assistant, Mara, nodded. "It's like it knows we're here." They weren't wrong. As they moved closer, the ship's surface responded to their presence. Light traces followed their movements, faint pulses echoing in the surrounding ice. Kaido muttered, "It's like it's aware." They prepared to enter. A hatch sat on the side of the ship, hidden beneath layers of ice. Elena studied it carefully. There were no handles, no obvious mechanism. She placed her hand on the smooth surface, and the hatch slid open silently, almost gracefully. The team froze. Inside, the ship was vast, far larger than the scans had suggested. The walls were smooth and metallic, but not cold. Warmth seemed to radiate, faint and gentle. Lights flickered to life as they moved forward, glowing softly without any visible source. The air smelled faintly of ozone, like a storm approaching on Earth. The interior seemed alive. Strange patterns ran along the walls like circuits, but not like anything human engineers had ever designed. There was a low hum, steady and calming, almost like a heartbeat. The team moved cautiously, but curiosity overrode fear. They came upon rows of stasis pods, intact despite the millennia that had passed. The pods were empty, or at least they appeared empty. Yet as the team approached, a holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the room. The hologram showed a star map. Not like the maps humans had, this one stretched across vast sectors of the galaxy, highlighting systems humans hadn't even discovered. Pulsing lines connected distant points of light and strange symbols danced across the edges. The ship, it seemed, was offering them knowledge. Elena's eyes widened. "It's a map, a guide to the galaxy," Mara whispered. "It's been waiting for someone to find it." The ship's hum grew louder, responding to their presence. Panels on the walls slid open, revealing compartments filled with devices and tools unlike anything humans had built. Energy readings spiked, as though the ship itself was alive, testing them, inviting them to interact. For hours the team explored, learning and documenting everything they could. Elena discovered a control interface, a circular platform with glowing symbols. She hesitated. Could they activate it? What if it was dangerous? But curiosity won. She placed her hand on the platform. The symbols pulsed in response, brighter now, and a voice, not spoken but transmitted directly into her mind, whispered images and sounds she barely understood. It was knowledge, pure and alien, flowing into her thoughts. The ship had awakened. Suddenly, the entire craft trembled. Magnetic fields lifted it from the asteroid. The team clutched walls and handrails as the ship floated effortlessly above the icy surface. Outside, the Kuiper belt stretched endlessly, stars glittering against the void. Elena stared through a viewport, breathless. "It's moving." The ship responded to her thoughts, not her commands, gliding smoothly through space. Sensors came alive, showing stars, planets, and anomalies far beyond the reach of human instruments. It was faster than any human ship, capable of interstellar travel. The possibilities were staggering and terrifying. Kaido finally spoke, his voice trembling. We weren't supposed to be able to do this. None of us could." Elena shook her head, awestruck. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe it was waiting for us." The ship's interior shifted subtly, like it was adjusting for their presence. Lights pulsed faster and the stasis pods glowed softly. It was alive, and it had a mission, one that now included humanity. For hours they floated in stunned silence. Outside, the stars streaked as the ship accelerated. The Kuiper belt became a blur. Elena realized they had crossed a threshold that humanity had dreamed of for centuries. They were no longer explorers of the solar system. They were passengers on a vessel that could take them across the galaxy, guided by a mind older than any human civilization. Yet beneath the wonder, a question lingered. If the ship had been waiting for millennia, who else had sought it? And what dangers might they awaken by stepping inside? Elena pushed the thought aside. There was no turning back. Humanity's first true journey into the galaxy had begun, not with a rocket launched from Earth, but with a discovery buried in ice, waiting for the right hands to awaken it. And somewhere deep within the ship, something ancient and patient pulsed, acknowledging them, preparing them. The stars outside stretched endlessly, and Elena felt a shiver of anticipation. The galaxy was waiting. The stars outside the viewport stretched into brilliant streaks as the ancient ship accelerated through space. Elena gripped the edge of the control platform, feeling the strange hum of energy flowing beneath her hands. The ship seemed to respond to her emotions, to her thoughts. It was alive, aware, and far beyond human understanding. The crew floated in awe and fear. Kaido leaned against the wall, wide-eyed. "I've never seen anything move like this. Not even theoretical physics can explain it." Mara shook her head. It's like the ship itself is thinking." Elena nodded slowly. "It is, and it's communicating. We just don't speak its language yet." Indeed, the ship had begun to speak, but not in words. Light pulses danced along the walls, creating patterns that shimmered and shifted. Symbols appeared and disappeared like a living code. Occasionally, a sound resonated, not through their ears but in their minds. Thoughts, images, and emotions washed over them. The ship was alive and conscious. For hours they experimented. Every touch, every movement elicited a reaction. Panels opened to reveal tools, energy conduits, and devices the humans could barely understand. One small lever, when pressed, bent a beam of light into a perfect arc, reflecting off walls in ways that defied physics as humans knew it. Another control allowed them to manipulate gravity within the ship's interior, making objects float or sink without apparent effort. "It's teaching us," Mara whispered, her eyes wide. "It wants us to understand it." Alina realized she was right. This was not just a ship, it was a teacher. And humanity, small and unpredictable as they were, was its chosen pupil. But the thrill of discovery was soon overshadowed by a warning. The ship's sensors detected movement far beyond their location. A fleet, massive and dark, was heading toward them at incredible speed. The ship's lights pulsed red, its hum rising into a warning tone. "What is that?" Kaido demanded, panic creeping into his voice. Alina activated a display. The holographic projection of the approaching ships revealed something terrifying. They were sleek, black, and numerous, stretching across the void like a swarm. These were not human vessels. They were alien, and they were powerful. The ship responded to their fear. Panels on the walls glowed, revealing options: defensive fields, energy manipulators, and navigation controls. It was giving them tools, but the humans had to learn to use them, and fast. Alina swallowed hard. "They're coming for us or the ship. Maybe both. We don't have weapons, but maybe we don't need them." The alien fleet continued its approach, scanning, probing, and closing the distance. Their intent was clear. They considered this ship valuable and humanity's presence a threat. Hours passed in tense preparation. Alina and her team learned quickly, experimenting with the ship's capabilities. The gravity controls allowed them to float across the ship's interior with ease. Light manipulators created illusions, hiding parts of the ship from scanners. Energy conduits could emit pulses strong enough to knock away smaller objects, or even craft, without harming the humans inside. The ship guided them silently, nudging their hands toward controls, highlighting sequences and patterns. It seemed to understand humanity's potential, but it did not intervene directly. They had to act on their own. Finally, the aliens reached striking distance. The first shots, or whatever they were, hit the void around the ship. Energy fields flared in response, deflecting the attacks harmlessly. The ship's interior lights pulsed with urgency. Alina realized that, although the ship was powerful, it wanted them to lead. It trusted them to make the decisions. "We can't fight them with brute force," Alina said. "We have to be smarter, faster, unpredictable." The alien fleet advanced relentlessly, scanning every direction. Alina took a deep breath. "Listen to me," she said to the crew. "We're not soldiers, but humans are clever. They don't always follow the rules. That's our advantage. We'll use the ship not against them, but to show them what humans can do." The crew nodded. It was a dangerous gamble, but humanity had survived against worse odds. And now, in the cold emptiness of space, they had the ultimate tool, a ship older than any species alive, full of knowledge and willing to teach them. Alina activated the first maneuver. The ship bent light around itself, disappearing from the alien sensors for a brief moment. "Now," she shouted, guiding the ship into a sharp turn. The aliens pursued, but the humans' unpredictability gave them the edge. The ship reacted instinctively, following Alina's commands as she experimented with sequences she barely understood. Energy beams redirected in new directions. Gravity fields shifted to move the crew into perfect positions. Every action created a ripple through the ship, a dance of power that humans had never experienced before. Mara looked at the display in disbelief. "They're not ready for this. They can't predict us." Alina smiled grimly. "We're not a weapon. We're a new variable." The aliens attempted to trap them in a tight formation, but Alina used the ship's gravity controls to slip through. Small corridors opened, light pulses guided them, and energy shields diverted the fleet's attacks. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos, a symphony of human creativity and alien technology. Hours passed like minutes. The ship, responding to the humans' decisions, revealed more of its abilities. It could bend small regions of space, creating shortcuts that allowed them to avoid the bulk of the fleet. It could manipulate energy in ways that confused the aliens, making the humans' movements impossible to track. Alina realized something profound. The ship had survived almost 4 millennia not by brute force, but by observation. It had recorded civilizations, learned from them, and waited for a species clever enough to wield it. Humans were that species. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime of maneuvers, the alien fleet halted. Their ships hovered at a distance, scanning and observing, but they did not attack further. It was as if they were recognizing something they had not expected. Alina breathed a sigh of relief, though tension still gripped her. They're waiting, watching us. But they're not leaving us alone. Kaito rubbed his eyes. We survived somehow, but why didn't they just destroy us? The ship pulsed with light as though answering. Its holographic displays filled the room with patterns and sequences. It was teaching them again, showing them how to control energy, gravity, and movement in ways humans had never imagined. Alina realized the truth. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They expected a species that would panic, flee, or fight predictably. But humans were adaptable. They were curious. They improvised. And now, guided by this ancient ship, they could survive and even thrive against opponents far stronger and older than themselves. The ship hummed softly, almost proudly. It had found its next explorers. It had found a species that could learn, adapt, and change. Alina stood at the control platform, staring at the stars stretching beyond the viewport. "We've survived the first test," she said quietly, "but this is only the beginning. The galaxy is bigger than we imagined and it's waiting for us." Mara nodded. "And now we have the ship, the map, the knowledge, we can go anywhere." Alina smiled, though worry still lingered. "Anywhere comes with risks, but humans are ready to take them." The alien fleet lingered in the distance, silent observers of a small crew of humans and their 3,789-year-old ship. They had been warned. Humanity was no longer a species to underestimate. And as the ship pulsed and prepared for the next leap, the crew realized something incredible. They were not just passengers. They were participants in a story that could change the galaxy. Somewhere far beyond the Kuiper Belt, deep in the endless darkness of space, the galaxy waited. And humanity, guided by an ancient ship older than history itself, had finally arrived. The journey across the stars had begun. The alien fleet hovered silently at the edge of the human crew's sensors. They did not attack, but their presence was oppressive, a constant reminder of the danger that awaited. Alina Rivas stared at the stars stretching beyond the viewport, her mind racing. Humanity had survived the first confrontation, but survival alone would not be enough. The ship, alive and aware, pulsed gently under her hands as if sensing her thoughts. It had guided them through the initial encounter, but now it was time for the next step. It would teach them more, not through words but through action, observation, and instinct. Alina turned to her crew. "We've learned the basics, but this is just the start. The aliens expect us to be predictable. They won't understand humans. That's our advantage. We have to use it." Mara, ever curious and daring, floated to the control platform. "Then let's show them what humans can do." The ship responded immediately. Panels opened along the walls, revealing instruments the humans had not yet explored. Energy conduits thrummed with power. Gravity fields shimmered with potential. The vessel seemed to sense their confidence, enhancing their control. Over the next several days, the humans practiced relentlessly. They experimented with bending light, manipulating gravity, and controlling energy flows in ways no human had ever imagined. The ship was patient, allowing mistakes but correcting them subtly. Each success was met with faint pulses of light, like approval. One evening, as the alien fleet watched from afar, Alina discovered something extraordinary. Using a combination of energy fields and gravity manipulation, she could create small pockets of space that bent light and matter. It was not true invisibility, but close enough to deceive the alien sensors. She demonstrated it to her crew. Kaido's jaw dropped. "We can move without being seen. They won't know what we're doing until it's too late." Mara's eyes sparkled. "We can use this to explore systems they guard. We can be ghosts." Alina nodded. "Exactly, but we have to be careful. Every action sends a signal. One mistake and they'll attack." The aliens, known only as the Earth, were an ancient council of species that considered themselves guardians of the galaxy. They monitored interstellar travel, controlled trade routes, and maintained balance among civilizations. They had watched the ancient ship for centuries, waiting to reclaim it. Now they observed humans, small, unpredictable, and utterly untrained. But the ship's response to the humans was unlike anything they expected. Energy patterns shifted, gravity fields fluctuated, and light bent in ways the Earth had never seen. One day, the Earth sent a communication, not words, but a projection of a council chamber appearing in the void of space, visible only to the humans. The ship allowed it, and Alina stepped forward. The hologram shimmered, revealing beings taller than any human with forms that defied biology. Their eyes glowed with intelligence and authority. "You are far from your home," a deep voice resonated in Alina's mind. "You have found what was not meant to be found. Why do you touch that which is older than your species?" Alina swallowed her fear. "We did not mean harm. We discovered it, and it awakened with us. We seek only knowledge, understanding, and exploration." The Earth's forms shifted almost imperceptibly. "Knowledge is dangerous. Exploration can bring chaos. You are untested." Alina straightened. "We may be untested, but humans adapt. We learn. We survive. We think in ways no other species does." The Earth remained silent. Their judgment hung in the void like a storm cloud. Then the ship pulsed brightly. The humans realized the message. The ship believed in them. It had chosen them as its pilots. Over the next several weeks, the humans tested their limits. They created energy shields capable of deflecting small attacks. They manipulated gravity to navigate through asteroid fields with impossible precision. They discovered ways to bend light and energy to create illusions, confusing sensors and making the ship appear to be in multiple places at once. The Earth watched, fascinated. The humans were clever. Their movements were chaotic, unpredictable, and brilliant. Where other species followed strict logic, humans improvised. They used mistakes as lessons, failures as steps toward innovation. One night, as Alina studied the ship's interface, she realized something crucial. The Earth expected humans to react in predictable ways. But humans were not predictable. They could turn disadvantages into advantages, and with the ship, they had tools the Earth could not fully understand or anticipate. Alina shared her insight with the crew. "We don't need to fight them the way they expect. We need to think differently, use what we've learned and show them what humans can do." The crew nodded. Kaido floated to the energy control panel. "We can create diversions, redirect their attacks, and escape from situations they consider traps. They can't predict creativity." Mara smiled. "Then let's give them a show." The next encounter came sooner than expected. The Earth fleet moved to block the humans from entering a nearby uncharted system, one that glimmered with potential resources and planets untouched by known civilizations. The humans approached cautiously, using every skill they had learned. Alina activated the ship's gravity manipulation. Asteroids in the path of the fleet shifted slightly, causing confusion and forcing the Earth ships to adjust. Energy pulses redirected, creating the illusion that the humans had split into multiple ships. Lights bent around the hull, making it appear invisible. The Earth reacted, but every response was countered by something new. The humans did not fight. They adapted, improvised, and outmaneuvered. Every move was a lesson in unpredictability, a demonstration of the creativity and resilience of humanity. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the occasional hum of the ship or the excited chatter of the crew. The Earth observed, silent and calculating. Then finally they withdrew, not in defeat but in acknowledgement. They had underestimated humans and now they understood. Humans were a variable they could not control. Elena felt a thrill of triumph. We did it. We survived and we learned. They respect us now. Mara laughed softly. Respect is good, but we have so much more to learn. Elena nodded, staring at the stars. And we will. The ship has chosen us for a reason. It has survived centuries because it waited for a species like ours, curious, clever, and unpredictable. The Earth would return, she knew. They were ancient, powerful, and determined. But humanity had passed its first real test, to survive not by strength but by ingenuity. As the ship moved into uncharted space, the crew discovered new controls, new devices, and new possibilities. Energy fields could be shaped to form bridges across voids. Gravity wells could be manipulated to navigate dangerous regions. Lights and energy pulses could create illusions that confounded sensors and eyes alike. Each discovery brought a sense of awe and excitement. Humanity was learning faster than any other species in the galaxy had ever learned. They were no longer just passengers. They were pilots, explorers, and now innovators. One night, Elena stood at the control platform alone, watching distant stars. She realized the truth. The galaxy was not a place to fear. It was a place to test human ingenuity, creativity, and courage. With the ship as their guide, humans could go anywhere, see anything, and shape the future of countless worlds. The challenge was not over. The Earth would return. Other threats lurked in the darkness, and the galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers. But humanity had a gift the galaxy had never seen before: the ability to learn, adapt, and improvise in ways that defied expectation. The ancient ship pulsed softly, acknowledging her thoughts. It had survived millennia, waiting for a species that could truly understand it. And now it had found that species. Elena turned to the crew, who were preparing for the next phase of their journey. We've proven something important. Humans are not weak, we are not predictable, and we are ready for whatever comes next. Kaido grinned. Then let's see what the galaxy has for us. Mara floated alongside Elena. And let's make sure the galaxy knows what humans can do. The ship accelerated silently, carrying its small crew into the unknown. Stars stretched into lines, planets shimmered in distant light, and the void seemed full of possibilities. Humanity was no longer confined to the Sol system. They were explorers, innovators, and now a force the galaxy had to recognize. As the ancient ship pulsed and hummed, Elena realized the truth. The real journey was just beginning, and humanity, curious, clever, and unstoppable, was ready. The galaxy waited. And humanity, with a 3,789-year-old ship as their guide, would make their mark. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, a vast ocean of stars, planets, and mysteries. Elena Rivas stood on the control platform, her eyes scanning the uncharted systems glowing on the holographic map. The ancient ship pulsed gently beneath her hands, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo her heartbeat. Humanity had survived the first test, mastered the ship, and proved themselves to the Earth. But the true challenge, the adventure, was only beginning. Kaido floated beside her, checking the energy conduits one last time. We've learned so much, Elena. I still can't believe we're doing this. It feels impossible. Elena smiled. That's humanity. Impossible doesn't exist for us. We adapt, we survive, and now we explore. The ship responded, lights pulsing along walls and corridors as if agreeing. It had waited centuries for a species capable of understanding it, and now it had found them. Humanity was ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. Their first destination was a planet the ship marked on the holographic map, deep within an uncharted system. The planet glimmered with faint green light, an indication of life. Sensors confirmed an atmosphere, water, and energy sources that could sustain human exploration. It was a chance to test everything they had learned. As they entered orbit, the ship extended small landing pods. Alina and her crew prepared to descend. For the first time, they were not just passengers of the ship, they were explorers, stepping onto a world untouched by known civilizations. The planet's surface was breathtaking. Vast forests stretched across continents, rivers glittered under twin suns, and mountains pierced clouds like ancient spires. Strange, luminous flora pulsed with faint energy, and creatures moved gracefully across the landscape. It was beautiful, alive, and completely alien. Alina stepped out of the pod, her boots sinking slightly into the soft ground. Mara and Kaito followed, equally awestruck. "It's incredible," Mara whispered. "It's like nothing we've ever seen." Alina nodded. "And it's ours to explore, carefully of course." But humanity's mark begins here. The ship hovered above, observing, guiding, and recording. It had taught them not just survival, but understanding. Humans could read the energy fields, anticipate environmental changes, and interact with the alien ecosystem without harming it. The planet was a laboratory, a proving ground for their ingenuity, but exploration was never without risk. As they moved deeper into the forest, they discovered strange structures, ancient ruins buried beneath vines and moss. They were not human, but intelligent. The markings glowed faintly, resonating with the energy fields the ship had taught them to sense. "This civilization, they were advanced," Kaito said, scanning the ruins. "But they disappeared or were destroyed. We need to be careful." Alina touched one of the glowing symbols, and the ship reacted immediately. Energy conduits extended from the floor, connecting with the ruins, revealing holographic histories of the planet's long-lost inhabitants. They had been explorers too, traveling across stars, building civilizations and studying energy patterns much like the humans were now learning to do. Mara's eyes widened. "We're following in their footsteps and learning from them." "We're not just exploring, we're understanding the galaxy," Alina nodded. "And that understanding is what makes humans strong. We don't just conquer or destroy, we learn, we adapt, we survive, and we create." As they studied the ruins, the Urith fleet appeared in orbit above the planet. Alina's crew tensed, but the Urith did not attack. Instead, they observed, silent and calculating. The humans had passed the previous tests, but now the galaxy was watching. Every action mattered. Alina activated the ship's communication interface. She sent a message, not in words but in energy pulses and light sequences, the universal language the ship had taught them to use. It was a greeting, a demonstration of intent. Humans were explorers, not invaders. They were clever, adaptive, and capable of understanding, not just taking. The Urith responded with their own signals, a silent acknowledgement. They had underestimated humanity, but now they were intrigued. Humans were a species that could not be predicted, a species that turned mistakes into advantages and improvisation into power. Days passed as Alina's team explored the planet, documenting flora, fauna, and ruins. The ship guided them, teaching, correcting, and enhancing their abilities. They discovered energy patterns that could be harnessed to power settlements, manipulate ecosystems, and even stabilize dangerous environments. Humanity was learning at a speed unmatched by any other species the galaxy had known. One evening, as twin suns set across the horizon, Alina stood on a cliff overlooking a vast valley. The light shimmered through the alien trees, casting long shadows that danced like living patterns. She felt a sense of awe, a feeling she had never experienced before. Humanity was no longer confined to Earth. They were part of something much larger, much older, and much more beautiful. Kaito joined her, silent for a moment, taking in the view. We're not just surviving anymore. We're part of it, part of the galaxy. Mara floated beside them, her eyes reflecting the glow of the twin suns. And the galaxy will never be the same again. Humanity has arrived. Elena smiled. And we've only just begun. There are countless worlds to explore, civilizations to learn from, and challenges to overcome. We'll face dangers, of course, but humans are ready. The ship pulsed beneath them, a living testament to the potential of their species. It had waited for millennia, choosing the right moment, the right species. Humanity was that species. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, but now they had the tools, the knowledge, and the courage to face it. Suddenly, the ship projected a new map, thousands of uncharted systems, planets, and anomalies. Each location pulsed with potential, waiting for humans to explore. Elena's heart raced. The journey would be long, challenging, and full of surprises, but it was theirs to take. She turned to her crew. This is it. Our first journey across the galaxy is just the beginning. We will encounter wonders, dangers, and mysteries beyond imagination. But we have the ship, we have each other, and we have the spirit of humanity. We're ready. The Earth fleet hovered silently, observing. They no longer saw humans as a threat, but as something remarkable, a species capable of growth, adaptation, and understanding. The ancient guardians recognized the truth. Humanity was unpredictable, clever, and unstoppable. They had passed their final test. The ship pulsed once more, a soft, steady rhythm that seemed to echo across the galaxy. It had chosen its pilots wisely. Humanity was ready not just to survive, but to explore, to learn, and to leave a mark on the stars. Elena took a deep breath and activated the ship's main thrusters. The stars stretched into brilliant streaks once again. The Kuiper Belt, the solar system, and all that humanity had known were behind them. Ahead lay the uncharted galaxy, vast, mysterious, and waiting for their discovery. Mara floated to Elena's side. We're really doing this. We're going to the stars. Elena nodded, her eyes shining with determination. Yes, and humanity will never be the same. We'll learn, we'll grow, we'll explore, and one day we'll inspire others just as we were inspired by this ship. Kaito joined them, adjusting the energy controls. It's amazing, almost too much to believe, but it's real, and it's ours. The ship hummed, lights dancing along the hull like a heartbeat. It carried its small crew through the void, a 3,789-year-old vessel guiding humanity into its destiny. The galaxy waited, full of stars, mysteries, and challenges, and humanity, clever, adaptable, and unstoppable, was ready to meet them all. As they accelerated into the depths of space, Elena realized the truth. The journey had begun, but it would never truly end. Every star, every planet, every civilization was an opportunity. Humanity was no longer just a species of Earth. They were explorers, innovators, and pioneers of the galaxy. And somewhere deep in the void, the ancient ship pulsed gently, acknowledging its new crew. It had waited for millennia to find a species capable of understanding it. Now, it had found them. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Humanity had begun its journey across the galaxy. The adventure had only just begun.